Video to see if I can get things to work into NetWeather. We're going to have a look at something that's cropped up today, which is why perhaps the Met Office have changed their outlook from not being too good for the end of July to an outlook that looks quite promising. What we'll do is we'll have a look at the NetWeather version of GFS along with its jet streams and how it's developed a low at T plus 240. We'll compare that with what the chart shows for the European centre at about the same time, and just have a look through. Maybe one of you can come back with an answer. I don't have one. So we'll start with the T plus 240 GFS chart, and as you can see on the heading there, I've marked in where the left exit is. So if we zoom in on that, you can see it's where that blue arrow is, and keep zooming in on it and you'll see where the surface low pressure is just beginning to form, and that red area at the bottom end there is where the jet stream is, and it's what meteorologists call a left exit. In other words, it's where the jet's coming out at the end of that particular jet stream. If we move it on several days further on, this time it's into Sunday, you can see where the low pressure has now moved. It's centred just over Northern Ireland about, and you can see the jet stream looking more like a January chart than a July chart, way south into northern Spain before it comes back up again and weakens out as it goes out over the North Sea. Looking even further ahead, this is the GFS extra version of the jet stream. You can see there's a deepish low off Newfoundland, jet stream wrapped round it all the way across the Atlantic, and the low that was over Northern Ireland has now transferred to just east of Iceland. So we're still in a pretty unsettled looking air mass, a northwesterly airflow, so it's never going to be desperately warm. This is the T plus 240 ECMWF chart. So it's the same one, or for the same time just about, as that first chart that we looked at for the GFS version, and you can see that it's also got a low on about the 50 north line, about the same position really, not that far out from where GFS had it. So as that's the last chart that ECMWF issue, they don't go beyond T plus 240, or not that we see anyway. It makes one wonder just which charts the Met Office are using to get their prediction. So that Met Office prediction was from about Sunday the 26th out to Tuesday or Wednesday the 4th or 5th of August. And yesterday they were talking about it remaining fairly unsettled, no sign of any settling down. Now I'm reading their text. The weather becomes more settled during the following week, with more in the way of dry and settled weather, although there is still a chance of showers affecting some places at times, most likely in the northwest. This pattern continues into the first weekend of August and the start of the following week, with further warm, dry periods and only occasional showers. Temperatures mainly near normal, perhaps higher in the southeast. In the south and east. So you can see there's been quite a change by the Met Office in their outlook for that period, and we've looked at some of those charts. I, as an ex-forecaster in the Met Office, am a bit lost to explain why they've changed it, or quite why they feel that now the pattern is going to be more settled. Anyway, answers on a postcard please, address them to NetWeather. I'll be interested to read your ideas. Apart from the possibility, and it didn't really show, that is of a ridge building to the south and east of the UK, which would tend to hold low pressure and the main upper trough to the west of the UK. I'm not really very sure about what they're suggesting. Nothing on the charts that you and I are allowed to see that would suggest that. Anyway, as I often say, time will tell. The weather will show us what it will do. Perhaps we should have a look at it again around the first week in August.